Give me your most unhinged art hacks for improving. Watch furry art, especially corn. They're masters at anatomy and dynamic poses. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. What are you doing, man? Well, you don't just sit there. Come join me. Let's watch some TikToks together. Let's lose some brain cells, lose some sanity together.
Making sure the upper area of the arm and the forearm can fit in that side view. Now last step is to add the front side of his hands onto the front side of the box. And voila.
You know what really pains me here? You know why I always talk about boxes is because boxes are actually useful. They're actually good. But everybody draws them and nobody seems to know how to actually use them. Look, this was an excellent description of perspective and how perspective works, how things vanish towards the vanishing point. This is actually the right place and the right scenario to use a box because you're trying to figure out the perspective. Now, you clearly were using some basic cylinder shapes, which again is a great idea, great concept, but don't be afraid to push it, you know, make that cylinder take up the entire space inside the box. Here, what's happening is when you shrink the cylinder to make it smaller at the front, the bottom of the cylinder is now again running parallel to the top of the cylinder, which actually weakens the sense of perspective. So don't be afraid, okay? Flare that thing out. Flare 6 out of 10. Learn face anatomy in 1 minute. I would love to be able to do that. Please show me how. Okay, we start with a circle. Now we draw, oh wow, oh wow, oh. You've already lost me. Okay, look, Joshua, dude, I really genuinely appreciate that you're trying to put out tutorials and help people how to draw, but I think we can all agree that this is needlessly complicated, even for yourself. I mean, we didn't get any explanations as to what all the lines are for, and we also didn't get an end result that is nearly as good as a regular Loomis head. It almost feels like to me that there's a lot of methods out there that value the perception of being a skilled artist rather than the actual end result. 2 out of 10. Simplify, downsize, shrink that shit. Art tips for beginners. Don't chicken scratch. Yes, that's a great one. It could make your art look textured. It's fine if that's just your art style. Okay, instead go with more fluid lines for a cleaner look. I agree with that. Next, when drawing eyes, don't start with one at a time. Yes, did you take that from me? I always say that. Instead, do both at the same time. There you go. Maybe you did learn from me. Good for you. Don't make hair too stiff. Instead, add volume and waves. I mean, yeah, depends on the hairstyle, right? Don't draw heads like this. Why not? Instead, make them more square. Okay, again, this depends on the facial features of the person you're drawing. That... Are we like off to the worst start ever in a TikTok tutorials video? We just might be. Actually, no, it's not. We haven't seen Coolene yet. So now again, as always, I appreciate you guys putting content out there, trying to help other artists out. That's what it's all about. And that's why I'm here. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to help you guys out. If you're a beginner, let me just say, you got to be very careful, especially on TikTok, with who you take advice from, because I feel like a lot of people are just, they don't have a thorough enough understanding of the subject they're trying to teach you in order to teach it to you effectively. And chicken scratching itself is not an art style. When we say chicken scratching, we are talking about lines that are very, very lacking in confidence, and oftentimes it can make your drawing look very messy and hard to read. The only good advice here was drawing both eyes at the same time. I mean, hair being curly, that just depends on the person you're drawing. Some people have straight hair. Same thing with the jaw. There's nothing wrong with having a rounder face, and there's nothing wrong with having a more square face. Everybody's built different. 3 out of 10. This makes me feel bad too, because I feel like it's a bunch of kids making these videos.
Here's how I color and render hair. Start with a rough sketch of the hair and then fill in the base colors. My shading process consists out of gradients. Take the base color, shift the hue slightly down and then the saturation slightly down, and this will be your darker shading, and add this to the top and bottom of the hair. The next gradient, which is super important, is you're going to take the character's skin tone and then add that to the outer layer of the hair as well. For darker skin tones, pick a slightly lighter shade than the original base color and lean it slightly towards orange, red, or purple. Whatever complements it best. Grab an even darker color and add this to really small sections of the hair. Then pick an opposite color of your hair's base color to enhance overlapping sections. This adds depth and contrast. Color pick the skin tone we put down earlier and use that to add highlight and dapple that in places to add some depth. Now you can render. Follow the direction of the hair flow with your brush strokes. Let the gradient do the work. The lighter areas in the gradient will almost blend together for a softer effect. Add a few loose strands and you're done.
I love this painting style. This is very, very nice to look at. You know what I really love is that you shifted the hue down just a little bit and added some more darkness. That's what I'm talking about. Too often people find that their colors are a little bit too drab and boring, and that's because they're working within the exact same hue. If you find that happens with your colors, try shifting the hue a little bit from light to dark and see how much of a difference it makes. It's mwah, fantastic. 10 out of 10. Good job. Thank you. Thank you for saving my sanity. Okay, this person posted, give me your most unhinged art hacks for improving. I don't want to hear learn anatomy or stuff like that. I need to hear the craziest, most unhinged hacks you've ever tried that actually worked. I'm kind of scared, but let's give it a shot. Watch furry art, especially corn. They're masters at anatomy and dynamic poses. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. Absolutely disgusting. What websites do you guys use so I can make sure to always stay away from it?
My art teacher told me this advice when I was 16 years old, and I still have not forgotten it. She said to never leave the sides of the canvas still white unless there's an intended purpose for them. Obviously, you do not have to follow this rule in all cases, but I definitely think that it provides a more professional and clean look.
I would agree with that, actually. I think personally I really like it when I see a painting wrap around and continue onto the side of the canvas. It is very sleek, and I think it looks so much better when it's hanging on a wall. 8 out of 10. Art hack. A lot of people study anatomy to get better at drawing, but it's actually a lot easier if you don't. This has got to be rage bait. This is rage bait. Yeah, I see your winky face down there. Georgina. That's enough of you. Georgina, 1 out of 10.
3 reasons you suck.
When you realize you could have used soft light layer on line art instead of wasting the time coloring it manually. Oh, I have not thought of that. Okay, I don't know how many of you guys already do this, but I've genuinely not thought of that before. I feel like that's a really good way to just immediately get rid of your line art. That's a pretty good art hack right there. Okay, 10 out of 10. Good job.
3 tips that will improve your skin rendering, plus bonus tip at the end. First, add an ambient light, so
hold up. That's my painting. Are you studying my painting?
Add an ambient light, so make a new layer, pick a color of your ambient light and paint it in the shadow areas where the bounce light hits. Next, add subsurface scattering. Make a new hard light or overlay layer, pick a saturated orange color and paint it on the transition between light and shadow. Finally, add some details. I like to add skin texture, so make a new layer, pick a lighter color and paint it in and then erase it a little bit.
This is good, man. Good job. I can see that you've done your studies of my skin rendering and you've applied it very well. The only thing to be careful of is to actually make a distinction between bounce light and ambient light, because bounce light and ambient light are sometimes the same light source, but not always. Just understand your light sources. You have the primary light source, you have the rim light, bounce light, ambient light. 9 out of 10. Look, I'm sure we all run into this issue. If you guys ever find that your drawings just look completely off and nothing like what you imagined, go find a reference immediately, okay? Try to find a reference that really closely resembles what you are picturing in your head. It's gonna help you so much. Don't just raw dog it, okay? Go seek help.
Why do artists do this when they color their art? One reason is to prevent gaps. You might miss some spots if you color with a light color against a white background. This is important for artists who prefer a clean finish to their art. The tip is to choose an easily visible color and then after that, readjust the color to your character's main color so that your coloring work takes less time. For example, if I find that the majority of the drawing will consist of the dress, I'd readjust the color of the base according to it and then proceed to color the other parts.
I don't think my brain was following the last half, but I do this too. I apply a single solid color for the base of all of my drawings. I prefer to work on a solid background so that I can apply a clipping mask and have the ability to basically do anything I want within this shape and color without worrying about going outside of the outlines. 7 out of 10.
A lot of drawing books might tell you that this is wrong and this is correct, because on this one it's even on both sides, so it's symmetrical, and on this one it's uneven, so it's asymmetrical. But there are times where you might want to draw somebody who looks stiff, like if they're standing at attention or they're in shock, versus someone who's relaxed. So use asymmetry to decide how you want your character to feel.
That is definitely a good tip, you know, and you should be aware of the kind of feelings that you're trying to communicate with the poses of your characters. 10 out of 10. Good job.
Why do so many artists only draw women? And then they come back and complain about how they can't draw men, even though they haven't drawn a man in like 10 years. Anyway, I really like drawing men, so I'm like the opposite of them. I guess we balance each other out.
I mean, you said it yourself. You like drawing men, so you draw men more. And some of us like drawing women, so we draw women more. Believe it or not, there are artists out there who like drawing landscapes. So that's all they do. Don't think too hard on it. It's literally just preference. Abs tutorial. Let's go.
Draw this kind of rectangular shape and divide the dough in 8 bunts. First, use your darkest color and define the left or right side, depending on the light. Then add an in-between color. Use the same colors for the muscles around. The challenge here is to shape your butts. Keep it organic. Here is a quick sum up. If you put highlights, keep them soft, not too light. Work on the colors, then on the shape plus its skin, so avoid hard edges. Make them buns pop girly.
Now this person said to not use any hard edges, but you could use hard edges depending on the lighting scenario and whether or not you have cast shadows on the abs. So my suggestion is don't go in without a reference and always observe the reference. 8 out of 10. POV, you have no drawing skills, so you just, what is that? What is, dude? That's freaking sick, man. And you're in Ontario too? I'm so sorry. This is so unfortunate. I'm sorry. Ontario just might be the butthole of the world. 10 out of 10 though. Good job.
Digital artist Zhang is a great example of the visual appeal of desaturated palettes. Looking at Zhang's work, many of their paintings primarily use pastels. Since they tend to use a more desaturated palette, their pieces are very pleasing on the eyes, and none of the colors feel in your face.
Oh my
Although they
God.
often use strong color schemes in their work, they don't have to. This is because pastels are desaturated, and the more desaturated the color, the more easily it will work with other desaturated colors.
True.
This is due to colors naturally working better with other colors close to them on the color wheel. So desaturated colors being more toward the center of the color wheel means that you can use a wide variety of colors without having to worry much about cohesion. Using a desaturated palette or following a strong color scheme are both two approaches to creating better color cohesion and are often done separately. However, Zhang combines the two, which works to amplify the visual appeal of their art.
Jesus, this guy's work is beautiful, man. How is this? Wow, what the? Like, seriously, look at this. This is insane, guys. You know what really pains me nowadays is I see a lot of AI ripping off of the art style of a lot of these artists as well. That is incredible. And this is also a fantastic video explaining the more desaturated art style. So you're going to get a 10 out of 10. Fantastic breakdown. Let's end it right there on a high note. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this video and hopefully you guys learned something new from it. If you guys want to see art tutorials every month, check out my Patreon. I love and appreciate you guys so very much. Subscribe and I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Oh, what should I eat?